Joining me today is Bishop Peter Libasci of the Diocese, the great Diocese of Manchester in New Hampshire, to talk about hurricane relief efforts in the Caribbean. Bishop Libasci, great to see you.
Thank you so much, Bishop Reed.
Wonderful to have you here, especially since I know that it's just a natural thing, and the news cycle being what it is, that we forget when there's a natural disaster about the needs of people. And, in 2017, a couple of hurricanes claimed many, many lives, tore out homes, water supplies, and more in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So I want to ask you how the recovery efforts are going.
It's still a struggle, as you can imagine, Bishop. Down in the islands, they don't have the infrastructure or even the contiguous states the way we would have here on the continent. And so when things have to be sent in by boat or by plane, they really depend upon harbors. They depend upon financial agreements to bring things in. So even getting the necessary workers, the necessary materials, it's been very difficult. To this day in Puerto Rico, still, there are some without power. Believe it or not, we just had the snow here in New England, and people were saying after 2 days they still don't have power. They were upset. But it's still very, very much a strong, strong effort.
Now, speaking of the great Diocese of
I like
Manchester,
that
New
very
Hampshire,
much.
It's true. It really is. The entire state of New Hampshire, as I understand it, is going to be setting aside a day for prayer and support for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. It's called Through the Storm. Could you tell us about that?
I'd be happy to. I had thought about this, realizing that one of our deacons, actually, he has family down there in Puerto Rico, right outside of San Juan, and the parish is Our Lady Auxiliadora, Our Lady Help. He had gone down there. I sent him down to see what was available and to talk with Archbishop Gonzalez as well. And when he came back, he said the devastation was more than you could ever imagine. So I thought about this, and not hearing about it much in the news anymore, just bits and pieces rarely, I said, we've got to do something. And so I spoke with our people in the Chancery office and asked if it would be possible to put together an effort that would be statewide for all people of goodwill to keep the thoughts alive and to do something concretely. So a day of prayer, a day of celebration of Holy Eucharist for the people, for the relief effort, and also thoughts and prayers are very important, but then action, as St. James the Apostle would say, the faith and the works together. And so I thought if we could do a fundraiser that would be across the board, any who would like to help, and it will go directly to the dioceses of San Juan and St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands.
Speaking of those dioceses, too, we're used to here, particularly in New England, of kind of weathering the storms, but this is of a whole different magnitude. What are some of the specific needs of the diocese and the parish communities in those island places?
I will tell you, there are so many homes that are without roofs, so many homes that are without their utilities. When you think of it, to be in a house where you have to put a tarp over the roof, sure. And remember, down in the Caribbean right now, it is 85 degrees, the sun beats down. If there's no electricity for air conditioning, then there's no electricity for a fan, and so people are sweltering. And water dehydration is a real important issue there. Churches have been destroyed. Communities, whole communities, houses have been washed away, blown away. I was talking with Archbishop Gonzalez, and he said that the Redemptorists had a beautiful retreat house up in the mountains. Gone, completely gone. And the Redemptorists, we've even helped them out a little bit ago. Catholic Charities was able to send a gift down there to help out and to see what we can do. But it is massive to this day.
During the days of Holy Week, of course, we prepare to celebrate the Passion, the death of Jesus, but also we look forward to celebrating Easter as well, the resurrection. What do you see on the horizon because of the good efforts of Through the Storm and so many generous people for the people of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands? Where is the resurrection? When is the resurrection going to happen?
One thing I will always say is Catholicism is a religion of hope. It is deeply a religion of hope. We have the sacrament of penance, the sacrament of reconciliation, giving hope. There is a reason for tomorrow. And so with the overcoming of sin, with forgiveness of sin, we know that the soul is able to respond to God. In these times of difficulty, we begin to see the compassionate nature of human beings. And undergirded by faith, no sacrifice is too large, no sacrifice is unworthy. We're able to say, yes, we will come and we will do this, we will offer that. We will really see with the people of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and all of the places that are finding themselves in terrible, terrible straits of suffering, that if we can bring that measure of hope, we are with you. And we are with you not only by word, but we're going to be funding as best as we can. We're going to sacrifice here to send you whatever you need. And it's important, too, that we don't go in and do the work or go in and bring everything. There are people there who have these businesses, who can do this work. We must make it possible for their economy to strengthen. And there, when people begin to see that there's an economy, there is a reason for tomorrow, there are people who are supportive, and through the faith and the Holy Spirit and the works of the church, the universal church, when we join together in our forces, every tear will be wiped away. And we begin to see the face of God, the God who brings back, as he said, through the prophet Jeremiah and Ezekiel and all throughout the Old Testament, I will bring you back. I will restore you. I will give you new hearts. So all of these things are what we are very eager to see in this time of Holy Week and Easter and the great Easter celebrations. There is reason for hope.
I'm thinking of those who are watching on television, not just in New Hampshire, but all throughout New England and the country, who might want to join hands as well in this effort. If people can't attend the Mass, the reception, can't be part of Through the Storm all throughout the Diocese of Manchester, how can they be part of it in a kind of remote way?
That's a wonderful question. I thank you so much for asking. You could go to our diocesan website, catholicnh.org, and you'll be able to see Through the Storm. There's a whole presentation, pictorial as well as an essay on what is happening, and the means of sending a donation, supporting in any way that people would be willing to, all people of goodwill. And I would say, too, if anybody has ever visited down there and been able to say, oh, I remember this place or that place might not be there anymore. Would you be willing to send something to help them restore or rebuild? What a gift that would be. What a kindness that would be.
CatholicNH.
CatholicNH.org.
That's the website for the Diocese of New Hampshire. And Bishop Peter Libasci, the Bishop of the great Diocese of Manchester, New Hampshire. Great to be with you and see you. May you have a blessed Easter season.
Likewise, God's blessing always, and on the great Archdiocese of Boston, for which we are always grateful. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you so much.
Through the Storm on April 5th will be a statewide day of prayer for New Hampshire. Parishes, communities, individuals are all invited to participate in this day of prayer by joining the Diocese of Manchester. Suggested prayers can be found, as the Bishop said, at catholicnh.org/throughthestorm. And the day will culminate in the cathedral with a Mass at 5:30 with Bishop Libasci, Archbishop Roberto Gonzalez of San Juan, Bishop Herbert Bivard of St. Thomas and the Virgin Islands. The Mass will be followed by a benefit reception at the New Hampshire Institute of Art in Manchester. Proceeds from tickets will go towards humanitarian relief, church reconstruction in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. If you'd like to donate, just go to catholicnh.org/throughthestorm.